Okay, see Lindelof videos. What about negative exponents? And this is one of the questions I get so often that really seems to throw off a lot of people. Like, how do negative exponents work? And a lot of people seem to think that negative exponents create negative numbers. And negative exponents do not create negative numbers. As a matter of fact, they create reciprocals, loosely known as fractions, but reciprocals. So let's just do a couple problems and let's talk about it really quick. So we have this one. We're supposed to simplify this, right? Most professors don't want you to use negative exponents. They want you to cure the negative exponent. So this looks kind of weird, doesn't it? So what are we supposed to do about this? And what I'm asking you to do is think of it this way for a second. So I'm asking you to look at this as pieces, right? That's a multiplication problem in this. So here's this -3 right here over 1. Here's this piece over. I'm just going to bring it over here for a second. Here's this. Sorry, that's not true. Here's this x to the -4th, and I put it over 1 for a reason, because to cure a negative exponent, you need to take the reciprocal of the fraction that you have. So this one here goes to the top. This solidus is this one. And this x to the 4th goes to the bottom. And when this is really important, when it does, the exponent is cured. That is, it becomes a positive exponent. You can roll it back up. So if you took this thing and you wanted to turn it back, you could get right back to this. And when you're in calculus, you're going to find that you actually will do that. But mostly you won't. So look, I'm just going to cure this. I'm going to put this piece back. I'm going to put 1 over x to the 4th. This problem happened to also have this piece, so I might as well talk about it. Any number to the 0 power other than 0 is equal to 1. So this is just 1. So y to the 0, the value of y to the 0 is just 1. And I'm just going to do my multiplication across. And I have -3 times 1, which is -3. And now I'm going to multiply the denominators, and it's 1 times x to the 4th gives me x to the 4th. So we do end up with a negative number, but it's because we started with a negative number, right? The negative exponent didn't do it. Negative numbers create reciprocals or fractions. Let's just take a couple more questions really quick, just so you can practice this, right? So here's another one. Oh, sure, there's another one. So there are rules of exponents, probably 5 or 6 of them that you should probably know. And one of them talks about what to do if you have this. It's called the quotient property. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I just want to show you how we can undo a negative exponent. So if you look at this, so we have x to the 5th, right? And I'm just going to put it over 1. Then I'm going to put times, and I'm going to put a 1 over x to the -2nd power, right? So now the negative at the bottom. If you try to multiply these back, you get the same thing back, don't you? So x to the 5th over 1 is still x to the 5th. However, to cure this, we turn this over, right? And so again, not a fraction, but a reciprocal. So I'm going to turn this over. So when this negative exponent comes up, it comes up as a positive. And this one would be this one, right? We're not going to need them, but that's where that comes from. And then we can use one of the basic properties of exponents, which is that you add them, right? When you multiply, you add, and 5 plus 2, sorry, 5 plus 2 is obviously 7. So there's another one. Let's just do one more, just one more to make sure we have this thing going pretty right. Let's look at this one. Here's one. We have x squared y squared all raised to the -1st power. Lots of ways to do this, but I'm just going to choose one way to do this. One thing you could do is just flip this whole thing over. You can make this, right? You can make this you could rationalize this, so you could just flip this whole thing over. But just to make the problem a little bit more obvious, I'm going to use this property that I know, and the property is that exponents are distributable over multiplication. So when this happens, we multiply it by this and this. That gives us x to the -2nd power, right? Because -1 times 2 is negative, right? And y to the -2nd power. I'm going to do the same thing we did in the other problems. Is I'm going to turn this into a multiplication problem, right? Like this. And I'm going to do the same thing we talked about a second ago, which is I'm going to take the reciprocal of this. This is this one. The solidus is the same, and this x to the -2nd power comes out as x to the 2nd power, right? Moving forward, this one is this. Whoops. This one is this one. This solidus is this one, and y to the negative 2 comes down as y squared. Curing this, 1 times 1 is 1 over x squared y squared. This is kind of a pain. I just really wanted to talk for a second about how negative exponents work and what they actually cause. And I think what we've decided tonight, hopefully, is that we realize that negative exponents create reciprocals, loosely known as fractions. So they don't create negative numbers. I promise you just got to trust me. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Oh, and subscribe. Thanks.